Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my amazing interviews. Now, they say everything is energy, don't they? They say that it's all about vibrations. And we know that there are some vibrations or some energy which can have an effect on us, like the electromagnetic field that can be a bit dodgy. And we need to protect ourselves. And I've been somewhat concerned about this for a while, and you may remember I had a chap come in from EMF Protection who came and did a survey around my house, particularly in the studio, and looked at my lights and my screens and those whatever you call them, neon signs, and the dirty electric and the Wi-Fi and the router, and he had his meter and he was going, oh my goodness, Richard, there's a lot of voltage coming in and we want to sort of earth ourselves and we want to protect ourselves. He looked outside and he said, oh golly, there's a mast not too far from your house. You do need to protect yourself. And then I went to bed that night, turning everything off, all the electric and everything off, going, oh, what am I going to do? Well, because of that, one of my lovely new friends, Tom Numbers, who came on the channel, he recommended me a lovely couple in Morocco who were doing some amazing stuff with shungite. And I'd heard of shungite. In fact, somebody had given me some shungite soap, and I'd been washing in shungite soap. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to get these people on so we could find out more about EMF protection, that sort of thing, and what we can do to mitigate some of this and the power of some of these type things. Because you heard of semi-precious stones, people often have those, carry them about and surround themselves with it, crystals and all of that. But I've not really know too much about shungite. So I'm very pleased to bring onto the show Hope and Trivon from Fix the World, Morocco. Hello to you, Hope and Trivon.
Hello. Thank
Hello,
you
Richard.
so much for having us on. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It's lovely to have you on. Now, when I asked if you wouldn't mind coming on the show, you so generously said, look, we make some products. We'd love you to have them and try them out, which I just want to say. So this isn't a paid promotion or anything. It's just that you sent me all this stuff, and we'll have a look at it in a second. And it is quite unusual for somebody like me, but the claim is that it can help mitigate these somewhat erroneous and unhelpful, let's put it that way, frequencies. Would you say that's right?
Yes, we started because we ourselves are very, very sensitive to the dirty electricity, the electromagnetic frequencies, and the environment, and have been for several years now. Because they're just putting up more and more of this electricity in our environment. So
Mm.
we didn't feel really good, and so just for ourselves, we were trying to look into ways that we could mitigate that we could protect ourselves from these frequencies that you can't see that were giving us headaches and making it so that we couldn't sleep. And there's all these different symptoms that one person can have when you're sensitive to electricity. So Tavon is the engineer and the scientist, and he started to put on his thinking cap on things that he could do. Why don't you tell us how you stumbled upon this?
Yeah, no, that would be fascinating.
Well, at the time, Richard, for me, it was the sleep that was deeply affecting me, or the lack of sleep.
Right. Yeah.
And as we know, if you can't sleep more than a couple of days, you can go crazy and get sick and all of that. So it was first introduced to me, basically, Hope's friend, Hope's mother, gave me a sample of something that she picked up from someone talking about a sleeping aid. And what
Right.
this was, it was a device. It was more like a puck of epoxy resin, and inside of it had aluminum filings or aluminum shavings. And she gave this to me and said, "Well, nothing else has worked. Why don't you try this?" And at the time, I was very skeptical. I'm like, "Well, how is this going to help me with my insomnia?"
I
Uh,
know.
I,
I mean I absolutely. It's like an animate object. You
Yes.
know,
yes,
it's like it's separate from me. That's the feeling that you get, and you're not feeling sort of like if you turn on a bright light, you can sort of feel the rays.
yes, exactly. And to make matters worse, I'm not someone that takes a lot of like pills for sleeping and things like that. It's just it never worked with me. So
Right.
I'm always looking for natural remedies, but I was really having a hard time and during that period. So anyway, I took this puck to bed with me, and it was the first night's sleep I was able to get in about 2 weeks at the time.
Wow,
And
that's amazing. You sent me a puck. Let me just show you one that you have sent me, and it's an interesting. I mean, is this the one that you're talking about?
no, the original.
Yeah, that's our latest design.
That is like
right.
several iterations.
But the original one, this was like, what was that, like 8 or 9 years ago?
It looked like it was made from a muffin tin.
Yeah.
So okay. Okay.
It looked like a muffin.
Yeah,
but
fantastic.
plastic.
Right. Okay.
So after he had that great night's sleep, he started digging into the science behind it.
Yeah.
He's like, why does this work? And that just created this humongous body of work that we've been putting out for the last 7 years now, and that we're going to dig into a little bit, because we really want to explain this phenomenon and this science, because these inanimate objects, they actually generate a passive field of energy that transmutes or transforms the EMF in the atmosphere into healthy, life-preserving energy. So it doesn't just block the EMF, like it's not like a shield that just blocks it. It actually changes.
Oh, I see. I didn't.
The spin of the energy so that it's life-preserving instead of bad for your health.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds interesting. So I'm just going to show. We'll do that. I just want to show the variety of things that you are making. Now, here's me, a view in the studio that people don't normally get, and I'm sitting here. You see the other side of the studio and stuff. But you've got. I don't know if people could see all this, but I've got a number of things that all do different bits and bobs, and we'll look at them individually in a moment. And they're beautifully made, I have to say, and lovely and beautiful colours and all of that, which is very nice. So tell us then, how does this work? How is it possible?
Is this a good time to pull up one of the slides that we sent? Right.
We can do that, but I can segue into it. Generally, okay. Richard, the way it works, like you mentioned in opening, is that we're surrounded in a sea of energy.
Yes.
In a sea of toxic EMF radiation that, as of a century ago, didn't exist in the world.
Yeah.
And so our body is constantly being bombarded in this invisible energetic realm.
And our bodies are electrical too.
Yes.
So.
Right.
And our bioenergetic field is just as important, or if not more important, than the other physical aspects of our body. So that's the one area we had to look at to solve as a remedy for us. And so we started to research about how this stuff is able to work. This toxic radiation can be transformed because it's energy.
Right.
We create from one form to another. And
that's really. I just want to emphasize that, because that's something I think that the penny just dropped there with me. Because it's energy, it can be changed because of I guess the frequency of the energy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the toxic
because I think some people think that it's
energy in general can be changed. It can be changed to be more compatible with life.
Yeah. Oh, that is really good, because I think some people feel that energy is coming at you, and like all energy is bad energy because it's like some ray gun. But if you're able to change the frequency, you can turn it from being a bad thing to a good thing.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, that's a sort of like a critical moment in my thinking. Because I was thinking this was just blocking stuff, but no, that's really interesting.
We have feedback from people, customers who ask us this question, and they think, is this thing emanating something? Is it powered by a circuit or it's like, no, it's simply taking a toxic field that's already present in the environment, and is simply changing it because of the physical properties that it's made from, and that's where the research has been put in.
Yes. The research, if on slide number 7 that we sent you, because we try to
Okay.
just put all the stuff together so that it's easy to follow. In the late 1930s, the Dr. Wilhelm Reich, he discovered the living samples placed within containers made from alternating layers of steel and non-conductive organic materials were able to harness healthy cosmic energy from the environment. And he called this
Oops,
energy.
sorry. So I moved the slide. Sorry.
That's
Oh, no
okay.
problem.
So this is from Dr. Wilhelm Reich's discovery. This is his work that he did, and he
Yeah.
was able to discover that when you put these alternating layers of metal and organic materials together, it was actually producing this energy field that he called orgone energy. You can see the orgone energy. It makes like a blue color around blood cells and around different living things. So you can see it underneath the microscope. We have lots of pictures of that on our website as well. There's a huge section all about the science and the documentation and all the different studies, because we back up everything that we say with research and studies, right? So what he found was that these orgone accumulators, which is what he called them, they had the ability to preserve blood samples for longer periods of time, to sprout healthier plant seedlings, and to provide pain relief for his patients when they sat inside of this big box made out of these different materials. So what you do is you fast forward to today, and instead of this great big box or closet, you can take all of that and you can create that composite. And that's what those products are that you have there in front of you. So it's a composite that's made of a blend of iron oxide, steel, brass, shungite, and crystals, all in powder form, that's encased in an epoxy resin, and that produces the same effect, and it's able to transform the harmful wireless fields from cell towers, smart meters, smartphones, internet routers, and your television into more beneficial energy for you and your plants and your pets. And the way that this works scientifically, if you skip down to slide number 10.
Right. Okay. Bear
Right.
with me 1 second.
I made
Bring
a
that
little
up on.
illustration there to try to explain how this works.
Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. So when you mix all those ingredients together, the iron oxide, the steel, the brass, the quartz crystal, all of that together into the epoxy resin, when the epoxy cures or it gets hard into a solid plastic state, it puts pressure on the surface area of all of those ingredients. And there's a lot of surface area because it's in powder form. So the more surface area, the more powerful this effect is going to be. So when this happens, this causes something known as the piezoelectric effect. And what that does is it emits a harmonizing field generated by the specific properties of the ingredients. It's in this field that transforms the harmful energy from EMFs into healthy, life-preserving energy. So with that said, we put shungite in every single one of our products, our composites. And I'll have Trivon explain what shungite is, why it's so different.
So
yeah, because somebody gave me some shungite and they said it was from a meteorite that crashed in Russia. So that's all I knew. And my girlfriend Julia said, "Oh, if it's not from the planet, then is it good for the biosphere?" So that was a question that she wanted me to put to you, actually. But do go on and tell us about the properties of shungite.
Yeah. And I want to answer her question when he's finished talking about
right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Please do.
We do have a slide for that too. That might help. If that's slide number 8, that might help to explain shungite a bit better. But I'll let Trivon take it away.
Okay.
So basically, this mineral called shungite is found in only one place in the world, and like you said, Richard, it's in a region in Russia, and that region is called Karelia. Shungite is a special type of carbon mineral. This mineral is mostly carbon, and it's the structure of the carbon is what makes it very important and what it's able to do. It's probably one of two only source of natural fullerenes. And the fullerene is the structure that the carbon molecules take that resemble a fuller buckyball or a fullerene, what are called fullerenes. they look like soccer balls or buckyballs in their structure.
Right.
And this is basically created by all the carbon molecules coming together in this mineral. Well, shungite is a natural source of these. And again, it's only found in one place on the planet, so it's very rare. Now,
So,
the Russians have been looking at this mineral for a long time, over 150 years worth of study on what this mineral can do. And it's anywhere from water filtration that the Russian army has been doing. They also line like resorts like in Sochi, where they have like the ski resorts. They have areas where you can kind of like ground yourself, and they call them like meditation rooms, where the bricks that they use inside these rooms, the bricks and the flooring and the ceiling are all lined with shungite stone, which makes it a natural barrier from the external EMF radiation from the environment. So people go in there and they feel calm and relaxed and de-stressed. Also, so other than that, in water filtration for like toxic spills, it's also been used for nuclear remediation. And this is where it starts to get into the what you'd say almost magical quantum aspects of what this mineral can do. From the science behind it, it can take radioisotopes, the radioactive material, trap it within its fullerene, its cage, and basically that radioactive isotope would decay, would just eventually disappear.
right.
The scientists who study this still can't explain why that happens, but it's used as that's it's a primary means of remediation for places like Chernobyl and Fukushima.
So when you said it's rare, and I suggested that it came from a meteorite or something. So is that, if that's the only source of it, then we have to be very careful we don't use it for, stupid reasons. And is there enough to go around?
Well, I mean, that is the question. It is being used, in products, for things like face masks, like you mentioned, and soaps. Uh, that material is very good for the body as far as a
Right.
natural cleanser. And because, but we're looking at it for its EMF properties, for its ability to
Yes.
take toxic wireless fields and turn it into biocompatible fields. And it has huge implication. For example, if you were to make, let's say, a sheet, let's say a composite that had this mineral inside of it, potentially can be used as a filter for wireless communications. So the things that we basically complain about these towers or things like that being very toxic to our neighborhood instead of killing the environment, can be that those fields can be transformed so you can still send and receive data, but it not harm the environment.
and
Right.
and so basically you should be able to send and receive data through technology without it being bad for human health.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Right.
very possible for that to happen. There's no reason why this has to be so harmful to human health. So that's why we're transforming the fields instead of just blocking, because people are like, oh, then I'll lose my internet signal. That's not what we're doing here. Where
No.
it's like we're
So
cleaning up the energy.
Now
so,
there's been,
so
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, I'd just like to pick up on that one point that you just mentioned there, Hope, because in other words, if the powers that be and the people who had designed smartphones or the antennas for smartphones, if they were using more friendly technology or more friendly frequencies, we wouldn't have a problem at all.
Right.
It's
Yes.
is that what you're saying? But so they could do. Now, either they're ignorant to that, or it's just a coincidence that they've switched the wrong ones, or of course it's deliberate. And I'll leave the audience to make up their mind there.
Yeah.
So that because the ones that they have used are harmful, as you pointed out, it's possible to mitigate that so that we can still use this incredible advance in technology, which is very useful to us, but without fear and without harm. That's what
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
believe that.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because it actually the shungite actually changes the spin. So the spin is counterclockwise when it's toxic, right? These are some of
Yes.
the science experiments. There's an energy spin. That's
Associated with fields coming from our technology.
yeah. So the
Right.
fields, they spin in one direction when they're toxic, and when they go through shungite and those fullerenes that Trivon was talking about, it actually changes the direction of the spin into a healthy field instead. So it's literally transforming it at the molecular level.
Oh, that is fantastic. So let's have a look at some of your products then,
Yes.
and tell us how you use them and where they're best advantaged and all of that, because people will be fascinated how you can then utilize this and change the spin. So you've sent me a whole load of things. Is there anything? What should we start with? I've got them. I've got them all in front of me.
Well,
Uh,
I'd say let's start with our number one bestseller, which is that sleeping pod that we were talking about.
right. Which is this one here.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the sleeping pod. Now that's our most recent design. It's changed a little bit over the years, but this one we think is a keeper. It has a
Yes.
really nice smooth shape to it. Now the thing is that all of our products are made with the exact same composite. We just make them in different sizes, different shapes for different functions. So that is shaped like that, and that is the size and the volume that it is, because it gives people it's really nice to have in the bed with you. I personally like to hold mine in my hand and hold it right up against my chest, because that's where a lot of that anxiety would come in when you're trying to fall asleep, and you start to get the monkey mind, and maybe your heart starts racing, whatever
Yeah.
people go through when you're dealing with insomnia. We've had people that say that the electromagnetic fields in the environment actually goes right to their heart, and it gives them like heart palpitation problems, and
Right.
they're convinced it's from the EMFs in the environment. So they took one of our sleeping pods and they put it in a shirt pocket, and they said that after doing that, they wear it with them in their shirt pocket all day to protect their heart, and they said it completely made their heart palpitations stop.
That
So
is that is amazing.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
that is
we've had some really
Well,
incredible testimonies from people. Um, so he said this customer said you should call it a heart pod instead of a sleeping pod, right?
right. Wow.
So the sleeping pod is an absolute game changer for me. Dealt with insomnia for many years. I asked my husband to design this for me, because when he gave me our pendants used to look different too. They were like this big hockey puck, right?
No.
But they've changed. I put the pendant on and I immediately felt very relaxed, like I wanted to take a nap. And I said, this might actually help with my insomnia problem, which was ruining my life. Because when you can't sleep, you feel like you're gonna go crazy, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So, and I said, please make something that's bigger that I can hold, right? And so he designed the sleeping pod, and it has been 7 years since I've been using it, and it completely cured my insomnia. I sleep like a baby every single night. I have this with me. But when I travel, one time I forgot it. I left it at home and I was traveling, and
tell when you
I
forget.
couldn't
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know why I can't sleep, or one day somebody made my bed for me and they took the sleeping pod out of my bed and put it someplace else. And I went to bed that night and my sleeping pod wasn't in the bed with me. And I could tell because I couldn't fall asleep.
Oh, right. Yeah, amazing. And that's the thing, isn't it? When you go away and you're staying in hotels or Airbnbs and places like that, you're still in that soup of,
Yes.
even if you turn off the router in the in, say, an Airbnb, but in a hotel, you can't do that. And often, of course, these masts are on tallish buildings, so they may be very close to you if it's a hotel. So you can't escape. I mean, it's so difficult to escape this. So having something with you that you can pop on or wear, I can immediately see if it's doing, as you say it's doing, the advantage must be immense.
And the reason why that's why we have it in powder form is because we realized that with the physical properties of these materials, we needed high surface area. So when these fields come near your body, a lot of these fields get absorbed and transformed through the material instead because of the high surface area. And you're putting it in proximity to your body when you have the sleeping pod. It's very close to you, within at least a foot of not touching you. And that's what makes all the difference.
Right. Now you mentioned the pendant, and you've
Yes.
sent me an array of different pendants. I'm going to show this one because I put it on the little string that comes with it. Which let's see if I go on this camera where you can see it. So they're very, easy to wear, and if you don't want it seen, you can just have it sort of tucked under your shirt, presumably,
Yes.
which works really well. And if I go on.
And that's great coverage for this torso area, right? So you want to think in terms of that pendant is really it's enough of that composite to create that energy field around the torso area so that you have it on you all the time wherever you go. Yes, you can wear it in the shower. A lot of people ask, can I get it wet? Do I have to take it off? You can wear it in the shower. And
Oops.
once these are the composites are put into their once it cures, that field is passively emanating from all of our stuff permanently. You don't have to recharge it, you don't have to replace it, it doesn't diminish over time. It's just a natural technology that creates this field that cleans the energy around you. I really want to talk about, or have Trivon talk about, the pyramids and the
Yes.
science behind the shape of a pyramid, because we've got some fascinating studies.
I think we might need to pull up the slide for that one also.
Okay.
Because this is a recent study that was done in the past 2 or 3 years dealing with the Pyramid of Giza, which also backs up the pyramid study of a professor, Alexander Golod, who was this was done, he was doing studies back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
So slide
about
number
pyramids.
12 and then slide number 13. There we go.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the science behind just the pyramid shape in general, Richard, and then we'll get more about, which is why we're using pyramids. So this first part is dealing with Alexander Golod. He is a former defense contractor and scientist working for the University of Moscow. And he, over the past 20 years, we're building 10-story tall fiberglass cladded pyramids on the outskirts in the rural section of Moscow and in other parts of Russia, like in the Russian oil fields, and was basically doing a study on what do these pyramids do in the environment. And the things that he was finding with these pyramids were amazing. Now, these are very tall pyramids. They were hollow. You can walk into them,
Right.
but they're completely fiberglass, no metal. It was basically just composite and wooden frames that were used to construct these things. One of the things he found, and he had a budget too, since he was working for the University of Moscow, they had military helicopters fly around the pyramids and take similar to Geiger counter measurements in the environment. They found that there was an ion column that was going from the tip of these pyramids and that was connecting to the Earth's ionosphere.
Wow.
So just for having that shape, that tall,
Yeah,
in the
just for shape in its own self.
was changing the energetic condition of the environment. Other things that we mentioned on here also, but we did in a separate report in our video that you can get from the blog online, is rare plants that were considered extinct in the environment were coming back around the base of the pyramid. They found that when they put samples of water within the pyramid in a Russian winter, where water should have been frozen well below freezing, left unattended, that glass of water did not freeze inside the pyramid chamber. Only when they went in to look at the glass and they picked up the glass and they flicked the glass, there's a video that shows they flicked the glass instantly turned from liquid into ice. So they had to actually disturb whatever interaction was happening inside these pyramids. So all these studies are basically to conclude that the pyramid shape was able to interact with the Earth's field with these amazing discoveries. And then on top of that, there was a study that was more recent dealing with scientists. Here we go. That's the study where scientists were looking at the Great Pyramid and the other pyramids in that study, and they were basically sending all kinds of frequencies through the pyramid, and then also observing RF frequencies, the interaction from the Earth with the pyramid. What they found is that these giant pyramids were taking that energy and were focusing it to chambers inside the pyramid and below the base of the pyramid. So these giant pyramids are a form of transducers. They're taking RF energy in the environment and they're focusing it. Um, and thus again, energetically changing the environment. For what purpose? You know, who knows? But again, it leads to what were the questions lead to? What were the pyramids made for? What was
Yeah.
the real purpose of these giant structures? So we looked at these studies, and we drew the connection between how orgone energy works with interacting with the environment and what they found in these studies with pyramids. And we also now know that the aerosol spraying that is in the environment that covers the skies that are toxic on their own, they're positively charged. So you can have these pyramids on your property and around your home, and because of the way they interact with the environment, they can be used to to send negative charges into the sky, to bind with these positively charged toxic chemicals, and to basically start a clearing process around your home and your neighborhood.
What? Right. So does it matter that they're not huge, or does the size make a big difference, or you sort of like have an army of them around the house and they're sort of discreet, I suppose, and people don't really know what they're for.
Exactly.
They look like ornamentation, but actually what they're doing is something a lot more important, of course.
Yeah, the ladder is easier to make for one, because I can't imagine a giant epoxy composite pyramid.
Well, try shipping that.
Yeah, I suppose, I guess flat pack or something. But if you've got it, but as you say, it's got all the other stuff in it as well.
So, I mean, basically, a simple explanation is the shape of the pyramid itself is used to direct the energy. So that Orgone energy field, it's actually directing it through the tip of the pyramid, and it goes pretty far. So if you use these, you can use these to grid your property around your home outside to create like a dome of that energy field protection over just your house and your property. But you can also use it inside your house as well, like because of that shape of the pyramid combined with the orgone energy that's being produced with the shungite in there. That's the reason why we make these in pyramid shapes. And we have these in sets that you could use to grid your property. You could also we have those little green circles. Did I send you a garden puck? I think I did.
Oh yes, you did. Hold on.
You could use them with the garden pucks as a set if you have like a big garden, because we have a big garden here. Because there's a whole bunch of studies as well that talk about preserving the life of your plants, getting better yields from your crops, your plants, right? So you could use the pyramids with the garden pucks to grid like an outdoor area, or you could use them inside and like maybe put one in each room of the house, in the corners of the house, to create that grid on the inside.
And if you do decide to use the pyramid in the house, we recommend putting it around areas where there's a lot of energy, wireless energy, like on the top of your computer, or put it on your computer desk between a monitor and like your laptop.
If you have a smart TV.
Things where there's a lot of the wireless emission.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose on your router could be a good place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in fact, because we do have some wireless routers, we have that's when we're going to the phone shield. Segue into the phone shields for that, because they're like our stickers. They're double-sided tape, and you stick these onto flat surfaces. So, for example, we have some wireless routers. We would have it on both the faces of the router.
Yeah, like I would put them right here.
Oh, hang on.
Stick them onto your cell phones. You can stick them onto your laptops. You can stick them onto your routers, onto the back of your TV, just to have that protection right there on top of your electronic devices.
So if people, I mean, I've put myself in big vision there. If people look at these and they think, how do I know it works? Because I suppose when you think of technology, I'm just looking for my phone here. When you've got technology, you've got a bit of glass and it lights up on the screen. Will mine light up without giving anything away? Probably not. But you know what I mean. You've got all the icons. I've got to unlock it. Anyway, there's a standard thing on the phone. Yeah. And so you know it's kind of technology, and you can, even though you can't see the signal, you kind of are aware that it's there, because that's how we've been mind bended into thinking. But
Yes.
when you feel something, say in epoxy resin, there's to a degree there's a bit of a leap of faith, isn't there, knowing that this is actually radiating out a natural element. It's not man-made. Well, it's man-made in the way that you put it into something, but the element in it, the shungite and all the other stuff, is just naturally doing its thing. Do you find that there is skepticism? I suppose that's the question I'm getting to, where people go, but you know, it's kind of, how does it, you know,
Yes.
So is there skepticism?
Absolutely, because I had that skepticism in the beginning, and at the time, for me, it was a sample of something made out of aluminum shavings. It wasn't powders, and
Right.
so that's when I started research that there were other people working on this technology before us, and they had their own way of making it. But we were looking at the materials that were available online, and we took that on board and tried to see, well, what can we do here? How can we improve upon it? And so it started with having to physically experience the difference.
But
Yeah.
but there's also, so what we put out there to help people that are like, how do I know if it's working, and the skeptics. There are certain ways that you can test and measure the effectiveness of the field that's being generated. So we did these big videos on our site about what's called the Reich blood test. So there is a test that was done where they took blood from a person and they put it into two separate chambers. One chamber was the control, nothing different about that. And the other chamber had an orgone energy field in there. And then they did some time-lapse photography. And what they found, because when you take blood out of the body, it decays at a normal rate. Blood dies,
Yes.
the cells die, and you can see the cells dying. So there's
Right.
the blood that was inside of the orgone chamber, it's just the box with the orgone energy field. It was actually preserving the life of the blood by 70%
longer.
Wow. Okay.
So
the decay rate was extended by 70%.
That's one way that you could measure the field, saying, okay, it's actually preserving the life force around blood cells for 70% longer than if you didn't have the orgone field. The other way you could measure it is through seed germination. So there's a big study that was done by the University of Pennsylvania where they took an orgone field and they tried to germinate seeds on this field, the same exact seeds. One was in a control and one was in an orgone field.
The control was a wooden box.
Right. And so with this particular experiment, you could see that many more of the seeds germinated and sprouted than without the orgone fields. Then there's people that are doing tests and experiments with their plants in their gardens, where they'll plant a whole bunch of things in one side with no orgone energy and another side with the orgone energy, and you see with your own eyes that the plants grow much bigger and they have bigger fruits and vegetables with that. And then the last test that we put up there to show people how to measure the fields is something called the ice test. And with the ice test, you make your control. You take a glass of water and you put it in the freezer and you just freeze it and get your formation of your ice in the jar. Then you take a glass of water, the same thing, and you put it on top of one of our charge plates, right, for the orgone energy field. And what happens is the charge plates, they create a field. That's I think I sent you a black one and a gold one.
You did, yeah.
They create that vortex energy field, and the field itself gets frozen in the ice, and you can see the frozen field in the ice.
Right.
That's the ice test, and you can see these like little striations,
filaments,
little filaments that happen, and that is the evidence that there is a field being generated from the charge plate. So
we also encourage when you're doing this test to use food coloring for the water, so that you can get a better relief of the structure of the ice.
Right, you can actually see the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those sort of things, I mean, you know, once you see it with your own eyes, then you believe it, don't you? If you see your crops growing, you've got one set of, as you say, carrots here, and then carrots that are twice or three times as long, and you say, hang on a minute, there's something, I may not understand it, but something good is happening. And same with the ice, you get that visual feedback, which is great. And I've got here as you said, and let me just show these so that people can see. So that makes it very big. It looks like it's the size of my head there, but actually, if I put it by my head, I can be Mickey Mouse there with different coloured.
That should be your thumbnail right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And people go, what the hell is that about? So these are called charge plates, are they?
Yes.
That's what they're about? And so what would you do? You would put things on there, you're not charging your phone up, as in putting energy into it, but so what would you, how do you use these?
So we say charge plates because it's literally energizing, in this case, the water or the drink that is resting on top of it. The field goes through the material that is made of the container that's holding the water and actually energizes or structures the water. And
so what you're saying is, if you put a glass of water you intend to drink,
yes,
put it on one of these, and you're turning your ordinary water, you're adding the fourth quality of water, structuring it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, and that is why I know we spoke off camera about before we arranged to have this interview about 2 weeks prior. I didn't really see this first time I saw your show was when you had a guest on that was talking about water storing information and energy and how it changed the environment, and that's very much in line with what is Orgone energy. Is water absorbs Orgone energy, or for the University of Pennsylvania, what they called cosmic energy. In that experiment, water absorbs that information, and it's a higher form of information, and the plants were able to grow or sprout and germinate healthier and stronger. And that's what you're able to do with the charge plate.
Right. So you could put your watering can on one of these, charge the water, and then water your plants. Because am I right in thinking trees naturally have structured water within them?
Yes, structured water is found in the environment naturally in a lot of conditions. Yes.
Yeah, natural conditions where the waters run through all the mountains and everything.
There's movement.
That structures the water as well. But like a lot of people have, some kind of water filtration system. And so we're always getting questions. Can I just put this underneath my water filtration system, whatever it is, a Berkey or whatever your brand is that you use? Yes, because about 45 minutes of a pitcher of water or a glass of water or a filter of water sitting on top of one of our charge plates is about how long you would need to structure that water, which is so much better for you. It's really good for your health.
So so do you do bigger, sort of more like oblong? I'm just trying to think. Hang on. Something like a plate, because people might want, or is that sufficient size? Does it?
Right. Yes. So
that's sufficient.
So what the secret here is, because this field and with the shape like this, the field is more of an ovoid. It's more of a round field.
Oh, okay.
And we've done this with our refrigerator a couple of years ago. This is where we found that, and we concluded based on the study from the University of Pennsylvania, is that the secret is that water is absorbing this energy. Even if anything that contains water is absorbing the energy.
Like your food,
like your leafy green vegetables and your fruit. And so we did this. We had in Marrakesh, as you can imagine, when it gets very hot, if you buy vegetables and you put it in your fridge in the middle of the summer, you have about 2 to 3 days before it starts to go slimy, and it's in your fridge. And you can't control that. But we took one of these plates and we put it in our refrigerator, and it dramatically extended the life of our green vegetables. I said 2 weeks, but Naima thinks it's much longer.
Yeah, it took about it was like a month.
There's a romaine lettuce.
My romaine lettuce, that organic, so you spend all that money on organic fruits and vegetables. You want them to last more than like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I had my romaine lettuce for like a whole month. It preserved it for a month in the fridge because of the Orgone energy doing its thing that it does with the water.
So supermarkets, instead of buying Bill Gates's appeal, that awful stuff that's full of, doom and gloom, they should put all their vegetables on these sort of plates, and they would be doing a good job for humanity, effectively. And just, racking all their waters and basically all food that's, mind you, it's all full of highly processed rubbish. So we have to avoid them anyway. You've got this other one here, this other big block. Let me see if I can demonstrate this one, which is a nice big hefty sort of thing. You wouldn't want it falling on your head, for example. Although I can place it on my head. Ta-da! With a glass of beer on. Which would be
structured beer.
Structured beer. Yeah. So tea and coffee. I mean, you can, if you've made a cup of tea, can you use these as putting your tea and coffee on
Absolutely.
as well? All drinks.
So
yes.
as you're drinking it, it's structuring it as you go. So this big chunky one. What's this chunky one for?
So these are our construction tiles that we created for any kind of construction project. So, for example, right now we are putting in a pool and we're just about ready to do the last bit of time-lapse filming to show the entire project from beginning to end, where we took those tiles and we put them around the pool that we just installed in our backyard here to create that Orgone energy field and also structure all the water in the pool when you swim in it. And I have to tell you, we just started swimming in our pool. And I don't know if you've seen that movie Cocoon, but I'm using this. It's an old movie from like the 80s where there was all these like alien pods in this pool and they went swimming in the pool and it was like the fountain of youth. I swear that is how my pool feels right now because of all of these tiles that we have all around the pool, creating that energy and that atmosphere and structuring the water that we're swimming in. So we made things so that you can put them in bathrooms, you can make furniture out of them, tables
or a bed.
Anywhere that you want to create an environment with this natural healing energy. It was kind of inspired over the Shungite tiles that Trivon was talking about in some of those resorts.
Yes.
So it was the same thing. So that's why we have our tile sets, and we encourage people to spread them out. You don't need to just cover an entire wall with just tiles because that could get really expensive. You can like spread them out like a meter apart and then use a different tile in between all of them so that you can create that same field.
And I also want to clarify, our products are composites, so they're more pricey. But like, for example, you could, in theory, order a bunch of Shungite stone tiles that are much cheaper and then have like one of our tiles spread out among the Shungite stone tiles that you get. Something like that. Right.
Yes, and I think it's probably worth mentioning. I mean, we're looking at your products, and there's probably other people who are doing all of this. I don't want people to think that we're just doing a big sales hit on them. But you were so kind to send all of these things, and these are composites of lots of bits and pieces, which makes them unique. And so other places are there. What sort of price then? Because I think people will be, and of course people are watching from all around the world, so it's very difficult to equate an exact price. But if you were to compare it with things like buying coffee or a pint or comparable things, to say something like this to put your water on, I mean, are we talking huge amounts of money or not so much?
Well, I don't know. It depends. I think that our stuff is competitively priced for other people that make the same kind of products. And we do, by the way, encourage people to make their own.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you said that.
We made a video that shows how we make ours so that if anybody wanted to follow that and make their own products. And all of our prices include worldwide shipping, which, yes, as you know, especially after the last few years, that international shipping has gotten very pricey. So I think that they're competitive. Everything is a different price. We sell things in different sets.
We also have special offers.
Yeah, the lowest priced item on our site is $58, and that includes worldwide shipping. And then, some people can spend a couple $100. It depends on what you want and what you need. We encourage people to try something and see if they like it, and then come back and get more if they want. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
it seems to me the sleep one is one that people, could shove in their bed, and after a week should be able to determine whether they've had a better night.
Definitely. Yes.
And then if that's the case, then they may go, actually, it would be a good idea to have our water structured, which I would recommend anyway. We filter our water as much as we can, and then all the other products, the pendants and various things, and of course phones. Just picking these up at random, which we know is a huge source, especially if people put their phone up against their head.
Oh yeah.
Which is a
don't
worry.
do that.
No,
Don't
I know.
ever do that.
No, it's just radiating your brain, and it's so sad, isn't it, when you see youngsters and they're just having these conversations, and it's very difficult to approach them and say, please don't do that, especially if you're not of the generation.
Yes.
And they look at you as if you're an idiot from the arc. So that's really bad. So I guess the best thing is for people to go to your website and have a look, and presumably they can order from wherever they are in the world, as you said, worldwide shipping, which is really good. I'm just going to show. I've just laid them all out, so I'm just going to show the products so people can get a good idea of what they are. This is on my webcam, so the quality isn't the best.
And everything is handmade too. We have a small team of artisans. We're a small family business. So we make all of this stuff throughout the week. We have a work schedule here. So we're a really busy little factory, and we make it all by hand. It takes a long time to make. So, check out our FAQs. We have tons and tons and tons of FAQs that we've answered because we get a lot of questions.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so we put a lot of time into making lots of videos to explain all the different questions people might have, and all of our return policies and shipping and tracking numbers and all that other stuff as well. So we've got all of that up there, and we just really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share this information with people, because EMF protection in general is becoming a real hot topic because a lot of people are very sensitive.
And people may not have known why. That's the other thing, isn't it? People have been ill, or they've got, their bodies are continually detoxing, and they don't realize they're actually detoxing, trying to get rid of it. They think it's something else, and the doctors and the pharmaceutical industry they're not helping because they have no idea. Doctors won't say it's EMF. They don't even, most of them don't know. But for me, one of the things and one of the reasons I'm really happy to sort of be able to put your products here, and as I say, you haven't paid me to say any of this, is at the moment for me it's all about independent, family-run businesses, small businesses who are trying to keep alive, because we've seen how the world is run by corporations, and these are dead entities that are being controlled by a very small select number of people who are extracting money left, right and centre. And we saw in the events of 2020 how so many small businesses were forced to close and go out of business. And, when there are people out there trying to do their best, especially now, having understood what's going on in the world and trying to sort of help people, like as you two are, I'm all for that. And if people give it a try, and if they don't like it, fair enough, isn't it? It's but it's getting the word out to say, here is a possibility. It might help, might not. It might not be your thing, but at least it's so difficult, I think, for small independent businesses to compete with these mega rich corporations that also won't even acknowledge that the products that you've got are even a thing, because they want the corner of the world, don't they? The corner of the market. Well, they want all the market, basically. So that I'm more than happy, and I shall be giving these things a try. Certainly the structured water, I shall be putting that immediately into operation, because water is so important.
It is.
And all the other things. So I'm really thrilled. So I'll leave a link in the description Is there anything you want to add on how people can contact you and things like that? You've got
Well, just mainly our website. We do have
yeah.
a contact form on the website, and we've been around now doing this for 7 years.
Yes.
Our business, it is a small family-run business. 7 years, we work really hard, and we've had over 20,000 customers. A lot of people come back and get more stuff, and that tells us that it's working. And we get some amazing testimonials that you can
Amazing
read
feedback.
on our website as
Brilliant.
well. People with all different kinds of ailments have said that our stuff has helped them. And so it really makes us feel great to be able to just put some good back into the world and try to help as many people as we can.
Oh, that's very kind. And I will say that you've very kindly said that I would have an affiliate link.
Yeah.
And I want to be upfront with my audience about that, because I so often get people saying out of the blue, and they, these what would you call it, influencer partnership programs, who desperately want to, people like me on YouTube, they want to sort of get in and get an access to the audience, and unless I'm not interested in any of them, because they've come from big marketing campaigns, they're big companies and corporations, and I'm really not interested in that. And I very rarely use affiliate links. The only really affiliate link I've got is with Clive de Carl and his supplements. We use them and we buy from him. And as you very generously said, so just if people don't know, it doesn't add anything to the cost. No. By using the affiliate. It actually just helps me and the channel here to keep going. But people don't have to use it. They can go direct. So I've got no qualms in any of that. But I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to do that.
Well, can I just say that something that we're really interested in is, the whole truth movement, and people that are trying to put good information out there in a sea of lies and all kinds of stuff. So we feel really great being able to offer this relationship with just truth movement people that are doing things that you're doing. So to help support you and your channel and your information, so you can keep putting out the great shows that you're doing, makes us feel wonderful to be able to take part in that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, that's very kind. And I hope, because there's always skeptics out there, and there's always the odd, but mostly I can tell you my audience are absolutely amazing. And they send in things, and they're so attentive, and very loving. And without your audience, you're nothing. So I very much appreciate that. And I do try not to take that. I have to put YouTube put adverts at the top and tail of the videos anyway, so I monetize those, but I never put adverts in the middle, and people will notice that it never breaks, which I could do and make more money from that, but I don't, because I think at the end of the day, this is about spreading the news and just keeping going, really, rather than be acting like a corporation and trying to screw everyone for every damn last bit of money. So it's an ethos that clearly we both share, which is brilliant. So thank you so much for coming on the show and telling me all about these amazing products. Certainly going to be putting them to good use. I shall be. You sent me 2 of these sleep pods, so I shall give one to my dear partner Julia. We live separately at the moment, although she's with me many nights of the week, but not every night, so she can have one to go home and sleep with as well. So hopefully that, and presumably with children, I should have asked you that. Children, I guess the same effect with them if they're not sleeping very well.
Yes.
Because a lot of kids wake up and they get fearful in the night, bad dreams and things like that. So have you found that's useful for children?
Absolutely.
Children, and there's some children that have different ailments like ADHD and things like that, who have really benefited by using our products and having them around them.
We get amazing testimonials.
Also,
some is unbelievable.
Animals work really well with our products. We have a lot of pets, and so we catch our animals like sleeping on top of the sleeping pods all the time,
right?
Or even a charge plate or a pyramid. I caught my cat sleeping on top of the pointy pyramid. So because they're animals, they gravitate towards those energy fields.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's fascinating.
Oh, brilliant. Well, there we go. That will reassure some parents, I'm sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciated that. It's been lovely to talk to you out there in Morocco, where you are, with lovely weather. It's actually quite sunny here today in October as I record this, but I know it's going to get colder. But thank you so much for joining me and telling me about your wonderful products. The link will be in the description, and I hope that people go and check you out. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here, Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Richard.
So much.
Thanks for having us on.
It's been my pleasure. Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed all of that and found that fascinating. I certainly have. I'll let you know how I get on with it in due course. But in the meantime, from Hope and Trivon, I pronounced your name wrong. Just give me how you pronounce it.
You said it correct.
You said it right.
Oh, I said it correct. Trivon,
Yeah.
There we go. Hope and Trivon and myself, thank you for watching. I'll be back with monologues and more guests. Till then, from us all, bye-bye.